morning, everyone. My name's Ryan Hall, your athletic director here at Mayville State. I have Coach Hutter with me today for a third edition of the AD's Corner for the women's basketball program. Coach, thanks for coming on again and taking time to meet with us today.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you. Exciting time of year. Sitting at 16-7, 10-3 in the conference, tied at the top right now, and a lot to be excited about with one final, dare I say, pretty big regular season contest left. So first of all, I just want to tell you congratulations on a great season. The girls have been phenomenal to watch, fun to watch, and provided quite some excitement for the community here in the Louis Lee throughout the basketball season. So credit to you and the girls on a terrific season, and I know you guys want to finish up strong and keep playing for a while. So good luck with that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Let's just jump right in if you don't mind. Like I said, 16-7, tied at the top with Bellevue and Valley at 10-3. Huge game Saturday at Valley, obviously. Can you explain to the followers a little bit about the scenarios? If we win, does it matter what Bellevue does as far as regular season conference championship, if you can?
Yeah, if we win, we will be the number one seed. So that means that we would have the conference championship. We'd be the number one seed going into the conference tournament. If we unfortunately were not to win, then there'd be a few different scenarios. We could be either 2 or we could be 3. If we were to lose and Bellevue were to win, they would finish ahead of us and we'd be 3rd. If we were to lose and Bellevue were to lose, we'd be tied, and we have the tiebreaker over them because we've beaten them twice this year. So basically we can be as high as 1, no lower than 3.
Okay.
It does shift around a little bit about who you can play in regards to that first game on Tuesday, because it's kind of a quick turnaround. But the scenario's played out, at least the fact that you have a chance to play for a conference championship. And then you could be either 1, 2, or 3, depending on how other teams do on Saturday as well.
So basically, not obviously, you guys are going to be playing next week as well. But do you take the approach of playoffs start now? You win this game, you're conference champions on Saturday. Does that play in at all, or do you kind of look at it as just the final regular season game? What's the focus there?
Well, as coaches, you like to think that you talk to them about it's the most important game because it's the next game. It'd be a little naive of us to think that the kids aren't looking at things and reading things and doing their own research and kind of figuring out what's on the line as well. So we were open about it the other day. As a matter of fact, we talked about it. I said, it's something that we're all aware of, and I think we'll relax a lot more if we just discuss it and we just talk about it. So we did. But we really just kind of talked about the game isn't going to change. I mean, there's a lot of things around the game that will change. Fans do a lot to make games really big. Yeah. Situations make games really big, and we love fans. We love people coming and cheering for us and supporting us and giving us an advantage when we play at home and even when we go on the road maybe at times too. But ultimately, the game is still the game. When the ball gets thrown up, the game is still the game. It's still going to be played the way we hopefully will play it. The game is still going to be won or lost by what you do on the floor, and everything around it is just extra things that kind of build it up. So we spent a lot of time in a meeting on Monday just talking about the game. And the game, when you're on the floor, what do you need to do? What do we need to do? What have we done to get to where we are? Because that's what's going to get us to where we want to be. Mm-hmm. You start thinking down the road, what could happen, this, and that's where you kind of get caught in the trap a little bit. So it is for a conference championship. I'm very proud of the kids and everything they've accomplished to put themselves in this scenario right now.
Yeah.
But we spent a lot of time, and even a little bit yesterday, talking about don't forget what got you there.
Yep.
We were 3-5 at one point.
Right.
We were 3-5 and kind of trying to just stay afloat a little bit. And we sat down. I remember having a long, lengthy discussion after the Valley game about we believe we were good, but what do we need to do? And we started to do all the things that we needed to do, and things started to turn around for us. Don't forget that, because that will get us to where we want to be. So, yes, it's talked about, but in all reality, we've told them this is the most important game because it's the next one, and that's kind of the mantra we've taken, pretty much all year long.
Awesome. Coach, I want to backtrack a little bit. This past Saturday was obviously senior day. Only graduating one senior, but a huge senior in the fact of how much she has meant not only to the program, but the community, the school. I've only been here 7 months, but she's had quite an impact on me as my student athlete advisory committee president, and everything she's done off the court as well. If you could reflect a little bit on how much Joelle Ertl has meant to the program and the community here at Mayville State, as she hopefully wraps up her career in the way she wants. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Joelle's been phenomenal for our program for the 5 years that she's been here, and I think that when you're lucky enough to get a Joelle Ertl to come play for you, I think you certainly are lucky, and you're also blessed. I mean, you don't really realize what you have with a lot of freshmen at the moment that they come. I remember watching Joelle play as a sophomore in high school. We were actually watching another kid play, as a matter of fact, when she caught our eye as a little sophomore out there for Holdingford High School. But you could see some of the qualities that she was going to be able to bring to a team wherever she went. Joelle is a phenomenal leader, both on and off the floor for us. She does great things for our team, both in the locker room and on the floor. But the thing I'm probably most proud of with Jo is the person that she's turned into. When Jo came here as a freshman, she was 18 years old. Like a lot of 18-year-olds, they think that they kind of are going to set the world on fire. They think they have all the answers, and all that stuff. And that's fine. That's pretty typical of an 18-year-old. And I think when she got here right away, she found out that this was going to be a lot different than high school. It was going to be a lot of work. And her freshman year, she had some ups and downs. But once she kind of realized and understood what kind of a teammate she wanted to be, what kind of a player she wanted to be, what kind of a woman she eventually wanted to grow herself into, like everything else that Joelle does, she just does it straight on as hard as she can. And it's probably one of the things I'm most proud of her is the person that she's turned into. She's phenomenal in the classroom. She's great in the locker room. She's certainly outstanding on the floor. She's heavily involved within the campus community as well. And on top of that, she's also involved heavily in the Mayport community as well. So Jo has been a great ambassador to our program. She certainly exemplifies what it means to be a women's basketball player here at Mayville State. I'm certainly going to miss her. Coaching her on the floor, her toughness, her grit, her competitive edge, her desire to be really good. Yeah. The last thing I would say about Jo that I really admire about her is her ability to make other people around her a lot better. It's one of the great traits about a leader is she finds a way to make people around her better. However it may be. It might be a motivational situation. It might be through her example, whatever it may be. But Jo has always had an innate ability of making people around her better. Yeah. That's why it's not surprising to me that we're having the season that we're having. Yeah. She's got her fingerprints all over this team, both in the locker room and on the floor. And she just has a great ability to make people around her a lot better.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, as I said, I've only been here 7 months, but I've been around athletics for a very long time as a coach and an administrator, and I've seen a lot of different sports, coached a couple different sports. She is by far one of, if not the toughest competitor I have ever witnessed. I love watching her play. I mean, she is an absolute bulldog on the court, and she's so competitive, and it shows in her game, and it fires me up just talking about it.
It gravitates her and I together, obviously. I mean, I like to think that I have a competitive edge about me as well, and at times we get a little like this because you have two real competitive, strong-willed individuals together, but ultimately our relationship has been so good because we always have the same end goal in mind, and that is to make the team the very best that it can be. And when you have that, you're going to have some moments where there's going to be some tussles and struggles, but 90% of the time she's right where I am, and you just love a kid that gives everything they have, every moment, every day. You're just blessed to have a kid like that in your program, and I certainly know how lucky I am to have her in our program.
Absolutely. Well, I talked to her a little bit yesterday, and I know she's fired up for Saturday for that big game with regular season conference title on the line. And just reminder, folks, at Valley this Saturday for a conference championship, down to one game, the Vikings and Coach Hutter and our Comets in Valley City on Saturday for a conference title. Ask you to come on out to Valley to come support that game, huge game. But if you can't make it, be sure to tune in and cheer on the Comets. Coach, I don't want to jump too far ahead. I know it's the next game, but you have locked up a first round home game for the conference tournament Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, right here at the Louis Lee. A opponent to be determined, obviously, depending on how things go. But the conference tournament kicks up on Tuesday. And with that said, you guys are sitting at 10-2 at home this year, which is, an awesome record. And obviously the girls feel comfortable playing at home. Like I said, don't want to jump ahead, but how important is it to, once conference tournament comes, for the most part, it's throughout the records, it's playoff time. How important is it to host that home game on Tuesday and to be able to do so and, here in the Louis, as opposed to having to travel that first round game?
Well, I think just in general being at home, it's invaluable. Just look at the records of our road teams in the league. It's tough to go on the road and win in our league. And now you're talking about a little bit of a quicker turnaround because you've got the last games on Saturday, and then obviously the first round of the conference tournament is Tuesday. So it's kind of a quick turnaround. So not only is it a quick turnaround, but for the teams on the road, it's a quick turnaround with a travel, which makes it a little bit tougher. I think it's always beneficial to play at home. I think this year more so than ever because the Final Four is at a neutral site.
Yep.
So really you only have one chance to get a home game, and that's to be a top 4 seed, which we were lucky enough to be able to do. So I think this year it was even more valuable because it becomes neutral site after that. And it's always fun to be at home. It's always fun to kind of have the same routine that you normally have, be able to practice when you want to practice, to be able to have the same routine when it comes to your eating habits and sleeping in your own bed and all that stuff that sometimes goes underappreciated until you don't have it.
Yeah.
And that's usually when you're on the road.
Yeah.
So, and then of course to play in front of your home crowd. I mean, an opportunity, to kind of play in front of your home crowd, hopefully have a really great environment, a real home court advantage through the crowd that not only can make it tough for opponents, but something that the home team can feed off of.
Yeah.
All of that stuff makes it absolutely, in my opinion, extremely important that you get that first one at home. So we're glad we're going to be at home. We love playing in our gym. We think we're one of the most supported teams in the league when it comes to attendance and watching us play. And while obviously we're going to focus on Saturday, we know we're really excited that we're going to be able to come back home and at least have one more home game Tuesday next week.
Awesome. And again, that'll be Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, first round of the North Star Conference basketball tournament for the women. And then, Coach, you mentioned neutral site, and now I'm jumping far ahead, but I'm afraid we're not going to do another one of these for a while. But next weekend, so you got at Valley Saturday for regular season conference title. Tuesday, we're hosting first round of the conference tournament, and if we're able to win that game Tuesday, you mentioned neutral site for the semifinals and finals. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but up until this year, it was always based off of what you were seeded. If you're a higher seed, you were hosting, even in the later rounds. But Watertown, South Dakota is going to be hosting Saturday and Sunday for the men and women's basketball semifinals and finals. So all 4 semifinals among the men and women's side on Saturday, the 2 finals on Sunday at a neutral site. What are your thoughts on that with the neutral site for the first time in at least a while? What would you say the pros and cons of that would be for the semifinals and finals of the conference tournament being held in Watertown?
This year it's a true neutral site. Last year the number 1 seed had the ability to host all 4 games, so it was neutral site for 3 of them, but it was still a home game for the top seed, which for us we were over at Jamestown. This year it's a true neutral site. From a perspective of the league and showcasing our league, I think it's a great situation. I think it's awesome that we can take our basketball product, both men's and women's, take it to a neutral site like a Watertown, South Dakota, which is kind of in the middle of a lot of the schools,
right,
and showcase what our league has to offer to an area that might not get a chance to see a lot of these teams play. A lot of these teams might have kids from that area, believe it or not, but probably don't get to see these teams play a lot. So from the league standpoint, I think it's great. I think it's going to create a really great atmosphere for the teams. It's going to be a real tournament style atmosphere. I mean, if you're lucky enough to make the national tournament, that's a neutral site.
Yeah.
And they make it a really big deal down in Sioux City if you're lucky enough to get down there. And I'm assuming that the North Star is going to do the same thing here. And it becomes a real neat environment when you can get 4 semifinal games on the same day. I mean, you buy a ticket, you come in, you get to see 4 games, 4 hopefully high quality games, followed up the next day with the 2 championship games. I think is just, it's great for just a basketball fan in
Absolutely.
general. I know other leagues that do it. The Division II league in our area does it as well. I think it's a great situation, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun atmosphere, and I think it's going to really give the league a chance to give the kids a real experience, real tournament experience. So I'm looking forward to it. I've been a proponent of it ever since it was brought up in our meetings, and I think it's great for the league. And while, yes, if you're the number one seed, it does affect you in the fact that you could have been playing at your gym. Ultimately, the 7 other schools obviously are going to be pretty thrilled by it. And I think it's a great thing for our league all the way around.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, I'm going to backtrack, and, it starts with Saturday, obviously. Coach, what are the keys to victory, you think, to go into Valley against a very talented team? Barn burner here, first meeting. Early on in the year. I believe that was back in early December.
Yeah, December 1st.
So a lot has changed since then with them and obviously with us as well. What's it going to take to go into a rivalry place and beat a very good Valley team and try to get a conference regular season title?
I think the first thing is the kids have to believe that they're a good team. I mean, that's the first thing, which means that you can't play tight. You can't play scared. You can't let the things outside of the court affect how you're going to approach things within the court. The game doesn't change. We mentioned this earlier. Things around the game change. If both teams were sitting at 7 and 8, right, this might not be as big of a deal. Yeah. So things around the game change, but the game is still the game. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we've been trying to preach to them is you've got to go in with a level of confidence and a level of belief. That's number one. And if you do, then you'll relax and you'll just let your natural ability take over. Valley's a very good team. I mean, Vanessa has done an unbelievable job considering they lost their point guard at the beginning of the year. I shouldn't say beginning of the year, but, midway through the year, one of the top maybe 5-6 players in the league, went down, and they've been able to right the ship, and she's done a great job with them. They're going to defend. They defend all the time, and we played here with 65-59. Right. It was a low-scoring game. They defend really well. We're going to have to be really good offensively. We're going to be solid, take care of the ball, a lot of movement away from the ball, things like that. We're certainly going to have to shoot it well, like any other game. But number one, like we've always talked about all year long with this group, is they're going to have to defend. We're going to have to defend. We're going to have to rebound. We're going to have to play with a level of toughness. We're going to have to play with a level of competitive edge. And so like I tell them every time we go on the road, when you pack your bag, make sure you pack your defensive game. Make sure you have it in there and throw a hard hat in there because on Saturday it might get a little bit physical at the same time. So, and ultimately, kids need to just go play. Yeah. Let their natural ability take over. I'm so excited for these kids. I'm excited for the opportunity that lies in front of them. They've worked their rear ends off to get to where they are. They've done everything we've asked them to do and then some. They've bought in together. This is such an absolutely enjoyable group to be around. Whether we're coaching or whether we're in the team room or whether we're on the bus or we're in the hotel or it's a dinner at my house, whatever we're doing, I thoroughly enjoy being around this group. I'm so excited for what lies in front of them, and I hope that they can just go out and relax and play. And if they do, I think it'll be a great game all the way around, just like it was the last time we were here.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, fans. Saturday at Valley, conference championship, regular season conference championship game between the Comets and the Vikings. And then Tuesday, last game at the Louis Lee for the season, 7 p.m. Tip-off. And that's first round of the North Star Athletic Association tournament. And then, fortunate enough, hopefully get a win on Tuesday. The girls will be in Watertown, South Dakota, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, game Saturday, and hopefully Sunday for the conference tournament. Coach, good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Good luck the next week. I know it's an exciting time of year.
It's fun time.
And, looking forward to seeing the girls compete and go get them.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.